And then if you're sure about it, it's probably not going to last longer than a little while. You're going to explore it, and then that will be that. Is that safe to say? For this time in your life?
Well, it kind of depends. I mean, my first relationship, like my only relationship really, like, I didn't really expect to get into it. We just kind of like...
It just kind of happened?
Yeah.
Well, I find that's one of the best ways for things to happen is to just let them happen.
Yeah.
Was it with another woman?
It was with a non-binary person, yeah. They're agendered.
Okay, so, sorry, what was the term that you used?
Agendered. So they don't identify with the gender.
They don't identify the gender.
Yeah.
So how does that, can you explain to me how that works? Like if you don't identify with the gender, like could I say I don't identify with a gender or no? Like right now I'm physically, like I have a penis, I'm built as a man. Could I say if I felt that I didn't identify as a man, could I say that to you and would that be okay? Or no? Like what are the what qualifications would I need to meet?
I mean, do you know what gender is?
Well, yes, I do. I mean, there's different kinds of, well, explain to me your definition of gender.
Well, gender is a personal feeling. A gender is how you feel you're like in yourself.
Okay.
Right? And then
so would sexual orientation be male, female, straight, gay, or what do you think that would be?
Sexual orientation is like bisexual,
heterosexual.
Like, things like that. But your gender is how you identify within yourself, and then also your gender is how other people identify with you. So how other people interact with your gender.
Okay. So the old saying of gender being male, female is no longer the case.
That was never the case. No.
That was never the case. So what would you say male, female were then if they weren't gender?
It's binary labels.
Binary labels, okay. Because as I was growing up, and this is one of those things where I'm just trying to be educated by someone that knows more about the topic than I do, because as I was growing up, gender was considered male, female. That's how I was programmed with it in my family anyway. Mm-hmm. I think for a lot of people that was probably the case. Is that old-fashioned thinking? Is it safe to say that? Maybe?
I guess.
Yeah. So if I'm a feeling, if gender is a feeling and I feel like I'm masculine, I mean, and I'm at the kind of mindset where I don't think that anyone is totally masculine or feminine. I think there's a fluidity there. Mm-hmm. So if I was to say, I feel more masculine, would that be an identity in my gender or...
Yeah, that would be...
And how would you identify with me if I explained that to you?
Because
you said that when it comes to gender, it's how you feel about the interaction with my gender as well, right? Or did I get that mixed up?
It's...
Because this is where it gets... Do you see where this could get confusing for some people?
No. Well, gender... you have to internalize and express your gender, but your gender is also how other people... interact with that gender expression, right?
Right.
Because the way you express your gender is how you...
Right.
Is the only way people will interpret your gender, right?
Okay. So do you think I express my gender as a male? I mean, as a masculine male. Is that kind of how would you say that I express my gender that way?
Like traditionally, yeah. In
okay.
A traditional way, yeah.
Okay. So explain to me, the person that you were dating didn't identify with gender. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you're neither masculine or feminine, or you're a combination of both, or is there totally an in-between there?
I'm not really sure how they would... I'm not sure how they would identify that. I never really... If we discussed that, I don't remember.
Okay.
But they generally didn't identify with masculinity or femininity or like maleness or femaleness.
Okay.
So
that's generally how you would identify with, based on the way that you feel inside, right? Not based on any kind of your anatomy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. See, this is the thing. This is what I'm trying to get to know too, right? So, so the person that you were dating was neither male nor female, but from the exterior, if I was to look at them, what would I see?
Are you asking me to describe them?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, I know that this is all kind of a feeling and based on, I'm just trying to explain to the people that don't understand whether or not to them watching, would it have been a male or a female to them that you dated based on old-fashioned thinking?
Are you asking if they had a penis or a vagina?
I guess.
Well, why do you need to know their genitalia?
Well, no. I'm just curious because if I'm thinking about if you had to bring someone back to your family, what would they see and what would the conversation entail and how would you handle that? That's kind of where I'm gearing this next question.
Oh.
Like, how would you handle if I was your dad? What would I see when you brought this person home, and how would you handle that conversation?
They were feminine.
They were feminine. So how would you explain that to your father? I mean, I don't know your father or your mother or your family situation, so if that's a touchy topic, I apologize. Mm-hmm. But if that was the case and you brought someone home, I'm just trying to think from my own perspective as well, how that conversation would go for you. Were you ready to handle that? I know you haven't, but what have you thought about it?
I told my mom, and she was kind of just like, well, no. And I'm like, oh, well, yes. And she's like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, well.
No, like they wouldn't accept it.
Yeah, my mom was just like, I don't, yeah, she basically said no, like that's not a thing.
Really? Like not a thing, like you can't do it or you just can't bring them home or just don't even bring it up?
I don't really know. we haven't really talked about it after. I was just like, I don't really, okay, like whatever. I like, after that, I was like, I don't really know what else to say after that.
Right.
I guess.
No kidding. So how do you find this exploring your, like, I don't even know what to call it really, right? Because I don't want to say the wrong thing and I don't want to offend you, but can I say when you're exploring sort of how you're identifying with queer, when you explore that, how is that holding up with you sort of from a mental standpoint if people aren't really approving of the lifestyle that you're living? Is that affecting you at all?
I have support from my friends and like my other family and stuff like that. So I'm not upset. I don't like.
You're so strong. Yeah. No, I know. It's just, and this is the thing. I mean, you are a very strong young woman, and I could never, I can't even imagine that conversation because when I was growing up, some of the best friends that I have, it took them a while to admit, even to themselves, that they were attracted to the same sex. So I have, or for lack of a better term, other men with a penis, okay? So that's what they were attracted to, and it took them a while to admit that to even themselves. And sometimes, I mean, you'd have friends that would talk and say, we probably, like, it wasn't a surprise to us, right, at the time. And they're some of the strongest people I know, and they went through fucking hell with their families trying to get through it, but they did in the end, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for them because they're such strong people right now. They're living life the way that they want to on their terms. Mm-hmm. So what do you have to say to people that are afraid to be like you? I mean, what if there are people watching this that, that do feel like they need the approval of their family and don't have the strength to venture out on their own like you have? I mean, what advice would you give to them? Do you have any?
That's just something you have to get over really quickly.
Yeah.
It's just something they're going to get. They're just not going to get. And I don't know. It's just, I'm at a place where why am I going to fight and why am I going to try and defend my humanity to someone or defend my existence to someone? Like, I'm not doing that. Even if it's family, if it's my mom, like, why?
Right.
And if they can't understand me completely, then that's their problem.
Right.
That's just not something I'm going to defend or something I'm going to try and argue with.
So you're just going to do you, and whoever accepts you, awesome. If not, fuck you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that attitude. That's amazing. More people need to be that way in the world and be true to themselves. So it's Pride Month, and we are very happy to have you here and celebrate the fact that everybody's kind of coming together and making this all about love. Mm-hmm. We for those people watching, I kind of brushed briefly on the fact that I was like, okay, so I kind of read a little bit about what Pride was about. So let's talk about how Pride Month came to be.
Well, I'm not like
the expert. Okay.
The expert. But it originated through Stonewall, which was well. Do you want me to explain like everything, the whole backstory and everything? Yeah,
if you could get into a little bit of detail, whatever you know, and whatever you're not sure about, just give us the gist of it. It's fine. I mean, we can always look it up after and correct it, but yeah,
okay.
Correct your.
I feel like we must just look it up now. Then I feel like we should have had like I bet you were something ready.
I didn't. Well, I don't really figure out where I'm going to go with this, but I obviously want you to celebrate everything that you are, and this month exactly. So anything that we can do to kind of educate people, including myself, about this month and why it's so important, let's do that right now while we have the time. So I know it was in 1969. If you want to pull up something on your phone, go ahead.
I'm not sure if I have anything on hand. I wasn't really prepared.
That's okay. Well, we know it was 1969 was the year that there was a little bit of kickback, right, from the gay community back then. It was just called a gay bar, right, at that point in time?
Well, it was the trans community as well. Yeah.
Trans community.
Yeah, and it was predominantly people of color.
Okay. Predominantly, sorry, what?
People of color. People of color
that were the ones that were assaulted by the police?
Trans people of color were predominantly ones within Stonewall, yeah.
Within Stonewall. So this was sort of a bar community, a hotel even, I think?
Yeah, it was a bar.
Yeah, okay. And it was just kind of kickback from the police that were doing a raid at the place, as I understand it. Mm-hmm. And why is that so, such a historic moment? Was it just because people finally stopped taking shit from authority?
I think it was the start of a series of riots, and it kind of started the
revolution.
Yeah, at that moment, yeah.
Okay, so as a let's talk a little bit about. Obviously, you go to Western. Mm-hmm. How is it going to? And congratulations, by the way, you're graduating this year.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
How is going to school? And I mean, you've got these typical people that you've got frat boys. You've got people that are very arrogant, probably, when it comes to the LGBTQ community, as well as you're in London, Ontario, and I've had some beautiful black women on the show before, and they've said that there is racism here. Mm-hmm. Have you felt that?
Yeah, of course.
So what was your experience like? I mean, are you from London originally?
No, I'm not from London. I'm from Mississauga.
From Mississauga, okay. Mm-hmm. So did you find a big transition when you moved from Mississauga to London, Ontario?
Yeah. Oh, yes, for sure. London's a lot smaller.
Yep.
It's about half the size of Mississauga in population and in literal size.
Right.
And it's predominantly... Mississauga has a lot more black people.
Yep.
A lot more brown people. A lot more...
So it's a lot more diverse, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you came here, how old were you?
Well, I came here my first year, so I was, 17, 18 years old. Definitely 18 years old.
Which residence were you in?
I went to King, so...
Okay.
I was with the residents there.
Okay, so how was your experience? And at this point, had you sort of... did you identify as being queer when you came to Western? Did you find this out ahead of time, or did you find this out in London? Is this kind of where you did your exploration?
I didn't really start labeling myself until maybe second year.
Second year?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you ever label yourself as straight growing up, or no? Was there ever a time where you thought you were a straight woman?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah. But when did you, what age did you decide that labels just weren't for you?
I think I never really,
just never really kind of...
I never really solidified anything until, I started saying queer when people kept asking me. But, I guess I never really stuck on anything until queer.
Until queer.
Yeah.
But that still gives you, by being queer, it still gives you options, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not really confined to just dating women or just dating men or dating asexual. Did I get that right?
Agender.
Agender. I'm sorry. I apologize. So dating whatever any individual identifies with, you can technically date anyone that you want to still.
Yeah.
Right. Based on if you like the person that they are in here.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, and forgive me if I'm crossing any lines here, when it comes to sex, have you ever had sex with, have you ever had a penis? Can you tell me that, or?
Yeah, I have.
And you've had, obviously, a vagina. I mean, we're talking about the sexual anatomy here. Is there a preference, or is it still just the person? Were you, grossed out when you saw a penis, or? Because this is stuff where we think about it, right? And we're like, okay, well, there's some guys that obviously, they say, and they're more than happy to say that they love cock or whatever. And there's some guys that, I couldn't touch a cock. I love vagina. Has that ever come to your mind at all, or?
I mean, sexuality is a spectrum, right? And so, I think